بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who enabled us to fast in this month of Ramadan and made it a means of forgiveness. And allowing us to fast, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us angelic. In the same way as the angels, they don't spare a second except they worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the same way, we're so fortunate that every second of our fasting is worship. How otherwise would we be able to engage in worship for such a long time? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored us with such a worship, which as long as the fasting persists, we are in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us up to the levels of the angels in terms of our actions. Yesterday we were reciting from Surah Al-Kahf, listening to the recitation, and there's a mention regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructing the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, and this is mentioned numerous times in the Quran. So since we're talking about angels, the other side of the angels are the devils, Shaytaan. So just a little bit about Shaytaan. So I think people have the basic knowledge that Shaytaan was from the jinn, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the jinn kind before the human kind. And in fact that's the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Every single word in the Quran has its place. Very, very particular. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is meticulous with words. He is perfection, His words are perfection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we didn't create jinn kind and human kind except worship. Jinn kind was mentioned first because they were created first. They were instructed first. And Shaytaan was from the jinn. So Shaytaan rose the ranks of the jinn because he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intensely, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him into the company of the angels. He reached the company of the angels. He was the only jinn in the company of the angels who was intense in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a reminder that we should never feel safe from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment. We should never feel safe in our actions. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us beautifully that not a single one of you, he said to his companions, will enter paradise because of your good deeds. Don't be deluded by your good deeds. You will only enter paradise through Allah's mercy. So the Prophet said to them that not a single one of you will enter paradise through your good deeds. He said, Ya Rasulullah, even you. He said, even me. Except if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful. It's through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. So we have a perfect example in Shaytan's downfall. The Shaytan was in the company of the jinn and the company of the angels amongst the elites, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded all of the angels, and now Shaytan was from amongst them. He commanded them to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. And then he refused. He refused. He said that Allah, you created me from fire, I'm better. You created him from clay. Why should I prostrate to him and I'm better? Right? The seed that sowed all sin was arrogance. For a person to think they're better than others, for a person to think that they can't be wrong in anything. So that seed, the Prophet ﷺ said that no one will enter paradise if there's even an atom's weight of arrogance in their heart. Because that is from Shaytan. That is from the sin of Shaytan, which caused all of the sins. So just to speak a little bit about Shaytan, I mentioned a couple of days ago, something which I found very interesting, I think many people found it interesting as well, was the way that the non-Arabic names are used in the Quran. And I mentioned there's a book, إعجاز القرآن من أعجمي القرآن. Shaykh Abu Sa'ala, he wrote this book as an Egyptian scholar. He was born around about 1930s. So he must have passed away quite recently, so the last 100 years. He analyzed all the Arabic names that are mentioned in the Quran, and he showed how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses wordplay that goes back to the original language. So the word Shaytan in Hebrew, the word is Satan. And that's where the word Satan comes from. So in Hebrew is Satan, and it's Arabized as Shaytan. And the meaning of Shaytan in Hebrew is Adu, enemy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the verse of the Quran, for Surah Al-Fatir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, Inna Shaytana lakum aduwan fattakhiduhu aduwa. The Shaytan for you is an enemy, so treat him like an enemy. Little did we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say enemy twice, said enemy 3 times, because Shaytan itself means enemy. So in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses wordplay in the Quran that sends back to the original language. Yeah. And there's so many examples. I gave a few examples the other day, and I want to give more examples further on, but just to focus a little bit around Shaytan. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Shaytaan. Another name of Shaytaan is Iblis. They said the name Iblis is from Arabic. It's not from non-Arabic. Iblis is from Ablasa Yublisu, which means that the one to lose hope, to fall into despair. And the reason for that is because when he failed to prostrate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threw him out of the company of the angels, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him out and promised him punishment. And he promised, Allah, give you respite so I can misguide the people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you can try your best to misguide the ones who are not from my servants, the ones who are righteous, you won't be able to misguide them. So when Shaytaan left, from that day onwards his name became Iblis. Iblis means the one who falls into despair. He's in despair because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised him punishment. Now because of that, he is trying to lure every possible individual into his punishment as well. In the Hebrew, his name is Azazil. Right? So this is not mentioned in the Quran, but it's mentioned in the Hadith. And I mentioned the other day that the Hebrew names that have Il at the end, Il means God. Azaz means the one who's mu'taz, the one who's honored. And the reason it's called Azazil was because when he entered the company of the angels, he became honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No other jinn was honored in the same way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to prostrate, and he failed to prostrate. And his destruction was from his failure in prostration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed us the same. Allah tested us the same as well. Allah created us for worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed us to worship. And one of the amazing things is the scholars say that in our worship, we have the prayer, we prostrate. So in the prostration, why do we have two prostrations? We stand up in each rak'ah, we stand once. We do ruku once. Then why are there two prostrations? So the scholars said the reason there's two prostrations is because the first prostration is actually the instruction to prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to fulfill his instruction. The second prostration is to rub it in Shaytaan's face because he didn't prostrate once, we'll prostrate twice. He didn't prostrate once, we're going to prostrate twice. Okay? This is what you missed out. We're going back for a second one. So it's a reminder for us when we prostrate, this is what we should be feeling. And that prostration Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to do, his medicine was in that. Because his ailment was arrogance. And the medicine of arrogance is humility. And the pinnacle humility in physical actions is to lower oneself down. That was his cure. He would have been set. He didn't take the medicine. They say sometimes medicine is bitter. Bitter medicine is still good for you. So we can't fall into the same sin. We can't fall into the same failure. This month of Ramadan, this is a month of fasting, as we all know, but fasting is an action which is going to end at the end of Ramadan, and then after Ramadan, many of us will not fast, because after that, fasting is optional if you want to fast. But the prayer is something that's for every day, and every week, and every month. We should be taking the prayer with us from this month of Ramadan into the future months. So this is a great victory and a great success we'd have if we were to become people of prayer. Because everybody in Ramadan is going to be people of fasting. We're going to be people of fasting, but that's going to stop. Who's going to be the person of prayer which is going to continue? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to act in accordance to His happiness and satisfaction and obedience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from His disobedience.